Matt Tenney, The Magic of Mindful Self-Awareness. How to Stop Overthinking, Clear Your Mind, and Be Happy Almost All the Time. At some point in life, most of us will realize that the shiny things in life, the new car, the promotion, even falling in love, rarely bring lasting happiness. In our pursuit of external pleasures, we often find only fleeting satisfaction, overlooking the quiet but profound power of turning inward instead. Yet, it's in this inward turn that the true path to unconditional happiness begins, with mindful self-awareness. At its core, mindful self-awareness means letting go of constant comparison to the past, the future, our expectations, or what others might be experiencing. Instead, it invites us to meet this moment exactly as it is, without judgment or resistance. The encouraging truth is that happiness isn't dictated by our circumstances. It's something we can cultivate. And in this blink, we'll explore practical strategies for developing mindful self-awareness, tools to quiet overthinking, enhance clarity and creativity, and turn difficult emotions into sources of compassion and joy. So if you're ready, let's begin. There is no such thing as good or bad. There's an ancient parable about a wise farmer and his neighbor. When the farmer's horses ran away, his neighbor declared, "How terrible!" The farmer replied, "Who can say what is good or bad?" When the horses returned, the neighbor exclaimed, "How wonderful!" Again, the farmer responded, "Who can say what is good or bad?" The farmer's son then fell off one of the horses and broke his leg. "How awful!" cried the neighbor. "Who can say?" repeated the farmer. Later, when war broke out and the son couldn't enlist due to his injury, the neighbor proclaimed, "How fortunate!" And the farmer's response remained the same. How does this story end? Well, it doesn't. There's no such thing as an inherently good or bad experience. What happens only appears positive or negative because of what we imagine comes next. Becoming fixed in our thoughts, like the neighbor, locks us into rigid interpretations. When we realize how profoundly our thoughts shape our reality, the natural temptation is to replace negative thoughts with positive ones. Here's why that's a mistake. Trying to replace negative comparative thoughts with positive ones is like putting a bandage on an infected wound. Eventually, it may be helpful to cultivate positive thinking, but first we need to resolve and unwind the negative patterns. The key is learning to observe thoughts as objects rather than getting swept away by them. But don't rush this process, or you'll get caught in a current of negativity. First, build stability of awareness by developing awareness of the body. This grounds us in the present moment, reduces anxiety, and creates a steady foundation for deeper awareness. Begin by simply noticing the weight of your body wherever you're sitting or standing. Feel the contact points, your feet on the floor, your back against a chair. Now bring your attention to your hands. Are they warm or cold? Tense or relaxed? Notice any sensations without trying to change them. Spend a moment scanning from your feet up through your legs, torso, arms, and head. This isn't about relaxation. It's about building awareness of your physical presence in this moment. Remember, the body exists only in the present moment. It can't worry about tomorrow or replay yesterday. By anchoring awareness in bodily sensations, we create the stability needed to eventually observe thoughts without being pulled into their drama. Clear your mind. There's a story about a king who traveled far to meet an enlightened teacher and his students. What struck him immediately was their radiant peace and joy. Fascinated, he asked the teacher how they had trained to attain such happiness. The teacher's response was surprisingly simple. By walking, sitting, cleaning, and other ordinary activities. The king grew frustrated. But everyone walks and sits and eats and cleans. The teacher smiled. Yes, but when we walk, we know we're walking. When we sit, we know we're sitting. Here's what's crucial to remember. Just as with the king and teacher, the practice of becoming free from thoughts doesn't mean learning some difficult new skill. It's about dropping the bad habit of identifying with thinking, which happens naturally the moment you become fully present with what your body is doing. Having started tuning in to bodily awareness, you'll find that brief moments of being in your body and free from comparative thought happen naturally and spontaneously. Now it's time to deepen this practice and make it intentional. Does the thought of clearing your mind completely scare you a little? Well, you're not alone. Many people hesitate to let go of thoughts, fearing they'll lose their capacity to be thoughtful, creative, or productive. Actually, the opposite is true. When we clear the mind through mindful self-awareness, we create space for genuine insight and creativity to emerge. Fresh perspectives arise when we're not caught in repetitive thought patterns. But how do we clear the mind? Think of your thoughts like snow in a snow globe that's been shaken. The swirling snow represents your busy thoughts. Shaking the globe doesn't help the snow settle any faster. It's counterproductive. Instead, you simply sit and let the snow gently settle on its own. Here, try this. Sit comfortably and notice your thoughts without trying to stop them. Like watching snow in a snow globe, simply observe as thoughts arise and fade naturally. When you catch yourself getting pulled into a thought story, gently return to observing your body's presence. Let the mental snow settle in its own time, trusting that clarity emerges naturally when we stop stirring things up. Take a vacation. Picture the perfect vacation. Pristine beaches, perfect weather, complete relaxation. You've imagined every detail, booked the trip, and counted down the days. Then, reality hits. The flight is delayed, the hotel room faces a construction site, and you feel pressure to squeeze every moment of joy from this expensive escape. You return home more exhausted than when you left. What if there was an easier way to take a vacation? One that promised pure relaxation without the stress, expense, or disappointment. One you could take every single day. The good news is, there's a vacation you can take every night before you go to sleep. While a regular vacation drains your energy and bank balance, this one will fill you up in every sense. Here's how. Once you're in bed, give yourself permission to simply be for 5 minutes. No phone, no mental to-do list, no reviewing the day's events. Place your hands on your chest or stomach and feel the gentle rise and fall of your breath. Notice the weight of your body against the mattress, the texture of your sheets, the temperature of the air. If thoughts arise about tomorrow's meeting or today's conversations, acknowledge them like clouds passing through the sky Then gently return to the simple pleasure of being present in your body. This isn't about falling asleep quickly. It's about experiencing the profound rest that comes from not needing to be anywhere else or anyone else. Let yourself sink into this moment of complete acceptance, where nothing needs to be fixed, achieved, or understood. When you practice this daily, something remarkable happens. This 5-minute ritual becomes what habit experts call a meta-habit, a practice that naturally transforms other areas of your life. The peace you cultivate in bed begins spilling into your waking hours. The quality of restful awareness you develop becomes a portable sanctuary that you can access anywhere. Unlike external vacations that promise escape from life, this inner vacation helps you fall in love with the life you're already living. It's the most accessible and transformative journey you'll ever take. And it begins tonight. Happiness isn't a future state. Be honest. When you think about happiness, do you think about the present moment or the future? Most of us have fallen into the habit of seeing happiness as a future condition. As children, we longed to be teenagers. As teenagers, we dreamed of being adults. Single, we imagine happiness when we're partnered. Working entry-level jobs, we fantasize about being the boss. But this habit isn't restricted to big-picture thinking. It's contagious, and it infects even the simplest moments. Washing the dishes? I'll be happy when I'm finished and watching the game. Answering emails? I'll be happy when I'm on my lunch break. Let's try a thought experiment. Imagine that only 5% of any person's life consists of moments of intense pleasure or intense pain. That leaves 95% for more mundane activities like washing dishes, answering emails, commuting, or brushing your teeth. What if, in your rush to skip over the mundane and get to the happiness, you're actually wasting 95% of your life? Here is an extraordinary paradigm shift. What if you could find happiness in the mundane instead? Start by making a list of your ordinary daily activities. Choose one to begin with, perhaps brushing your teeth. Tomorrow morning, transform this routine into a mindful practice. As you pick up your toothbrush, notice its weight and texture. Feel the bristles against your palm. When you apply toothpaste, observe its color and smell. As you begin brushing, tune into the sensations. The bristles against your teeth and gums, the taste of mint, the sound of brushing. Notice the circular motions of your hand, the coolness of the water when you rinse. Instead of mentally rushing through all this to get to the real part of your day, let this be the real part of your day. When your mind wanders to your schedule or worries, gently return to the simple pleasure of caring for your body. Feel the freshness in your mouth, the satisfaction of this small act of self-care. This isn't about making ordinary activities extraordinary. It's about recognizing that they already are. When we bring mindful self-awareness to the mundane, we discover that happiness isn't something we need to chase or achieve. It's already here, waiting in the most ordinary moments of our lives. Suffering is subjective. There's a story about an actress whose life had always been pleasant and comfortable. She landed a challenging role playing a traumatized, unhappy woman. To prepare, she hired a hypnotist to convince her subconscious that she was genuinely unhappy and beset with problems. The hypnosis worked brilliantly, and perhaps too well. Unfortunately, the hypnotist died before he could reverse the session. The actress remained stuck in her role of suffering, even though with a simple snap of his fingers, the hypnotist could have alleviated all of her pain. When you find yourself suffering, remember, your situation is like that actress's. The moment you realize that the life of a human being is simply a part you're playing, the sooner you can wake up from your hypnosis. Your true self does not suffer and is always at peace. But let's be clear about something important. Pain is an inevitable and objective experience. When you touch something hot, nerve endings instantly send signals to your brain, creating the unavoidable experience of pain. This protective mechanism is hardwired into your nervous system. There's no escaping it. What's within your control is what happens after your brain receives that pain signal. You can suffer, jumping up and down, crying and wailing, or you can simply notice the red mark on your hand and move on. Pain is objective and mandatory. Suffering is subjective and optional. To be free from suffering, you simply need to let go of the desire to have something happening that's different from what's currently happening. This means changing your relationship with desires that arise within you. Desire can control you, make you feel restless, anxious, or compulsive. But the correct relationship with desire is as a neutral tool that compels you to action on your own time frame, not as an emergency demanding immediate response. Imagine an itch on your back. Initially, it's just a sensation, nothing necessarily painful or unpleasant. But as soon as you identify with the desire to make it go away, the sensation becomes all-consuming. The thought, "I don't like this itch," means you've identified with the desire. Try this instead. There is an itch happening. Notice how this simple shift creates space between you and the sensation. Practice observing desires as temporary visitors rather than urgent commands. When desire arises, pause and acknowledge there is wanting happening. This creates freedom to choose your response rather than being controlled by every impulse. Through this practice, you discover that you are not your desires. You are the awareness that observes them. Invite your true self in. Think about watching a movie. On the screen, characters experience drama, conflict, and emotion. But the screen itself isn't affected by what's projected onto it. Your consciousness works the same way. Your thoughts, emotions, and reactions are like the movie playing on the surface, while your deeper awareness remains unchanged underneath. Your true self, that awareness watching everything, doesn't suffer. It can't be hurt by criticism, diminished by failure, or puffed up by success. When you learn to be aware without getting caught up in the ego's stories, you can live fully in the present moment and experience genuine happiness. Not happiness that depends on things going well, but a steady contentment that exists regardless of circumstances. The ego is constantly narrating, "You're not good enough," "You should be further ahead," "What will people think?" But these are just stories playing on the surface. Your true self observes these thoughts without being disturbed by them. And this isn't a philosophical theory you need to accept or reject. It's something you can test for yourself through direct experience. You wouldn't debate whether coffee tastes bitter. You'd just take a sip. Here is how to explore this for yourself. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Notice whatever thoughts or emotions are present. Don't try to change them, just observe. Now ask, who is aware of these thoughts? Notice there's a part of you that's watching. aware of the mental activity. This awareness itself is calm and unaffected by whatever thoughts pass through it. Rest in this awareness for a few moments. Notice how different this feels from thinking about awareness. This is experiencing your true self directly. When you open your eyes, see if you can maintain this witnessing quality as you go about your day. This aware presence is always here. You don't need to create or achieve it. It's what you already are. Recognizing this is the path to lasting peace. The main takeaway of this blink to The Magic of Mindful Self-Awareness by Matt Tenney is that unconditional happiness arises from cultivating mindful self-awareness, the practice of letting go of comparative thinking and being fully present in each moment, without labeling experiences as good or bad. Instead of identifying with our thoughts, emotions, and desires, we learn to observe them as passing phenomena. In doing so, we connect with a deeper awareness, one that remains steady and peaceful, no matter what's happening around us. When we rest in this awareness, we discover that lasting happiness isn't something to chase. It's something we uncover. All right, that's it for this blink. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you have a moment, please take the time to leave us a rating. We always appreciate your feedback. And I'll see you in the next blink.